Hi, I'm Yasmin, and I'll be your server today. I'm a full time waitress at a casual dining restaurant. I'm on foot for 10 hours a day, and I serve hundreds of customers each week. And these are my customer service stories. Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. Today is a really interesting podcast about the whole idea of hangry. And I'm pretty sure most of you know what hangry means. Basically, it's the idea that you're so hungry that you're starting to get cranky, irritable, grumpy, being a little bit snappy. And this term, in my opinion, I feel like it doesn't apply to anyone unless you're a small child. So I'll tell you why I say that. I have encountered many customers who seem to be quote unquote hangry. And, there was one time where there was a customer giving me a little bit of a hard time. I told my manager, and she was being really sweet about it and just said, you know what, I think that person's just hangry. Once they get the food, I'm sure they're going to be much nicer. And she was, saying that because she wanted me to feel like it's not your fault. This is just because this person's hunger signals are getting the best of them. And I just felt like, she's being really sweet. She's trying to make me feel better. But at the same time, I also felt a little frustrated with the customer because, if you're in a restaurant and you're an adult, I don't think you should be giving people a hard time when you're hungry. I don't understand it. If you are going out to eat, I know in the past I've heard, like my husband talk about it. I've heard other people talk about how they don't eat for the whole day, or they don't eat like for a few hours before they go out because they just really want to enjoy the food. They want to eat everything on their plate. Like they want to go to the restaurant and just really enjoy the food. And you know what? For people coming in the restaurant, I really appreciate that. You want to enjoy our food. You want to take your time, finish everything on your plate. That's fantastic. But if you're starving yourself to a point where you get to the restaurant and your stomach acids are basically eating your stomach and you're just in such a bad mood, I think that's probably a really, really, really bad idea, because then you're going to end up taking it out on the staff, or maybe your family members, or whoever you're at the restaurant with. Just, I don't know, pack some crackers, like have a little bit of something, not something that's entirely going to, make you full so you don't eat your meal, but definitely don't walk in somewhere where you're at a point where you're going to explode on somebody. And I feel like hangry is really one of those words that I would use for a little kid. When my son was really small, 4 years old, and he was just, crying all over the place, just didn't know what to do with himself because he was hungry. I feel like that word is like, oh, sweetie, oh, are you hangry? Is that what's going on? I feel like it's used for like a little kid. It's not used for an adult. It's not used for a grown up. Like, I feel like it sounds so ridiculous to be referencing an adult as being like hangry. It just, I don't know. I don't agree with it. I think that word should be erased from being used when talking about an adult who's hungry. Like, just control yourself. That's all I can say. So hangry, that's the word. That's what I want to talk about today. I had one table that I'm going to tell you about that was just a nightmare, because they were very high maintenance, very needy, wanting me to go back and forth to the kitchen like a million times. But the gentleman came in super hungry. So it was a young family. The gentleman was maybe like in his like late 30s, I would say, there with his wife and young child. And I got to the table and the guy was like, listen, I'm really hungry. I want the wings to start. And then they ordered another appetizer. And then they ordered some other stuff off the menu for their entrees. They ordered for their child. And I'm like, okay, well, the problem with some of the menu items that I think some people don't understand who haven't worked in a kitchen before is some of the menu items are actually very time consuming. And it's nobody's fault if you order, let's say, chicken wings. Chicken wings, they need to go in the deep fryer. Chicken is a product that you, of course, have to make sure is cooked thoroughly. Otherwise, you could get salmonella poisoning. You're going to have raw chicken, which is not good. Unlike beef, and I'm not saying, some people don't like their beef on the less well done side, which I completely understand, but beef doesn't have that issue. So if it's a little bit underdone, I mean, it's not going to hurt somebody. It's just a matter of preference. So chicken, one of those things, chicken wings, deep fry that stuff. We have to make sure it's done properly. There are other menu items that go in the oven or, that just are more time consuming. So if you are that hungry, if you are, like out of your mind hungry, and maybe it's not even your fault, maybe you go into a restaurant and it's like, oh my gosh, we've been traveling all day and we just want to stop in here and get something to eat, and you just haven't had time to eat, haven't had a place to pick up anything small on the way. I understand that, but if you are that hungry, just ask the server and we will be more than happy to tell you. Just be like, listen, we've been on the road all day, or whatever the case is. What is the fastest thing that will come out of the kitchen? And honestly, that makes our lives a lot easier too, because, you're getting your food sooner, you're happy, we're happy, everybody's happy, we get tipped well. Like, it works for everybody. Everybody's in a good mood, But, they ordered some chicken wings, some other things, and for some reason on our menu, the restaurant that I work, and servers out there, let me know if the kitchens you work at, if the starters are sometimes more of the more time consuming items on your menus. But in my restaurant, they are, and certain things need to go in the oven, certain things need to be deep fried, and customers may feel like, oh, I'm going to get an appetizer to help, curb my hunger a little bit, but it ends up actually taking longer than a lot of the entrees. So they got all these appetizers. I'm waiting on them. I walk past this, dropped off the drinks, and then I went back, and for some reason, I mean, such is my luck, but the restaurant got really busy. Everybody was on break. I was by myself. I had 8 tables by myself, and everybody for some reason that day was just being very high maintenance, and I want more water and more napkins and more this and more that. And it was just honestly like, it was just this domino effect of things already weren't going well. And then this just one table, it was the dad, it was the guy, and he was so difficult to deal with. He put his head on the table, and I passed by. I'm like, oh, is everything okay? And the wife's like, oh, he's just hungry. I'm like, what? I understand somebody can be hungry, but why are you putting your head on the table in a public place? That is so silly. Like, it is that if let me tell you something. In my opinion, when you go out to a restaurant, it doesn't even have to be a 5-star restaurant. You just control yourself. Like, act normal. Go in there, sit up, converse with your family or your friends, whoever you're there with, enjoy the time with them. Yeah, maybe you're hungry. Okay, I get it. You know what? On my shift, I'm serving customers food all day long. I'm staring at this food, and sometimes I get really hungry, but I'm not sitting there putting my head on a table while customers are like, excuse me, where's my food? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm hungry. I just have to go into comatose because I can't function anymore. Like, people don't do that. It's just wild. So this guy has his head on the table, and frankly, unless you're in a hospital and you're on death's door or you're severely ill, that is the only time I think in public you should be allowed to put your head on the table. Like, otherwise, grow up. You know what I mean? You don't need to be making a show of how hungry you are. I get it, okay? I mean, the kitchen's cooking the food and there's nothing I can do about it unless you want your food A, cold, or B, raw. Like, pick one. You want it cooked or you want it inedible. Like, it just blew my mind just seeing this. And this gentleman was just in such a foul mood just the whole dinner service. And at one point I just told the manager, and I was overwhelmed because I was by myself, and then I just had to, the manager was on break. I'm like, listen, like, there's so many people, this one table is just giving me a hard time. I was like, I'm sorry, like, I need your help. So he came back from break, and I asked him just to look after this table because they were being a little bit too much. And I think it all stemmed from the fact that this person was just so hungry. Just, I don't understand it. So, in my opinion, listen to me very carefully. If you are going out to a restaurant and you are hungry even before you leave the house, like you have a little bit of like, hunger pains, just grab a granola bar, grab a cracker, eat an apple, something. I don't know, wives, girlfriends, like if your man is the type that's like, oh no, I'm not going to eat, pack some crackers in your purse because you don't want him getting hangry on anybody. That's silly. And unless you are a kid, you are not allowed to be hangry, okay? Even like older kids, I mean, even if you're 13, 14, 15, you're in your tweens or whatnot, I feel like children in that age range are able to control their emotions better than some adults that I've seen. It blows my mind. I don't understand it. So to all my servers out there, if you have a story about somebody who's just giving you a hard time because they're hangry, just leave it in the comments and tell me about it. I would love to hear. I don't understand this concept. If you feel like hangry should just be taken out of our vocabulary, also let me know. I would love to hear that. I don't think it should be in our vocabulary anymore, frankly. I appreciate everybody who stopped in, listened today. I have set up a tip jar, so go ahead. There's a link in the description. If you want to help out my podcast, click on it, buy me a coffee. It would really, really help out the podcast. And as always, thank you so much for all your support. This is your Bitter Waitress signing off.